It looks like the webinar is streaming, so the meeting can start.
Okay, great. So we'll call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Meeting of the Finance Committee of the Trumbull Town Council. I'm Kevin Shively, Chairman of the Council, and I'd like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Would the clerk please call the roll? Margaret, we don't hear you.
I'm sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. Kevin Shively,
Here.
Mary Isaac,
Here.
Ashley Gaudiano,
Here.
Michael Miller,
Here.
Lori Rosazko Schwartz,
Here.
Tony Cinto,
Here.
Carol Hans, and Donna Siddell.
Okay, we have a quorum. I'd like to start this meeting just by just making sure that everybody is aware. Councilperson Lisa Valenti has decided to resign her position on the Finance Committee, and we just wanted to take a minute to thank Lisa for all the years that she's helped us on this Finance Committee. She was the former chair of this committee. She has continued to serve this town on the town council, obviously, but has decided to relinquish her seat here on the Finance Committee. And as a result, Ashley Gaudiano has joined our Finance Committee, and Mary Isaac has been elevated to a full member of the Finance Committee. So I just wanted to again thank Lisa for all the time that she spent on this committee and all the years that she's worked on budgets and all the things that she's done for our town and continues to do for our town. So we have a number of resolutions here, nothing too complicated, but I'd like to start by asking Mr. Miller if he would bring resolution TC 28-143 to the floor.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Resolution TC 28-143, be it resolved that the
Excuse
appointment.
me, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
were we going to move up?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no,
so
yes,
we want
I'm
to do
sorry.
we want to do
My apologies.
28-145,
yes.
right?
We're going to bring resolution
Thank
TC,
you.
or RC, is it RC? That's what it says in the agenda. TC 28-145 to the floor first, out of order. My apologies. Thank you for reminding me, Ms. Cassidy. So go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, resolution RC 28-145. Be it resolved that the resolution entitled Tashua Knolls 2021 Lease Finance Authorization Resolution, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Trumbull authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement with respect to certain equipment for the Tashua Knolls Golf Course, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents required in connection therewithin, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution is hereby approved. Full resolution attached.
Do I have a second?
Second, Ashley Gaudiano.
Thank you. Any discussion? I don't believe we have a member of the Golf Commission with us.
I'm here.
Oh, no, Mr. Gaudiano, yes.
No problem.
So I read through this and looked at the lease agreement. I know that it's gone through approval from the first selected. Anything that you'd want to add to the record here?
No, we did pretty thorough analysis of this. We asked each company to give us 3 different options. A commercial lease, which was they would take the carts back at the end of it. A municipal lease, which would give us the purchase to buy or the option to
Is it
purchase
going
the
tomorrow?
carts
Are any kids gonna be there?
at the end of the lease, or a full outright purchase agreement. Of these, the balloon or the municipal lease was the highest price, but that was rolled into the $250,000 balloon payment at the end. So
Any questions from members of the committee? Ms. Isaac.
Through the chair. Joe, do we have 90 carts currently?
yes, we do.
Okay, thanks.
So, and just so you all are aware, we're actually trying to give one of our carts to the senior center and one of our carts to the high school from the previous lease, 2 leases ago, which they left behind. So,
Any other questions from the committee? Hearing none. Is there any objection from the committee to approve this by unanimous consent? Hearing none is so approved by unanimous consent.
thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Okay. Ms. Rosasco Schwartz, would you mind bringing back to the beginning, resolution TC 28-143 to the floor?
Certainly, thanks, Kevin. Resolution TC 28-143. Let's make sure I have the right one, sorry. Be it resolved that the appointment by the first selectman of Owen Evans of 93 Skyview Drive as a member of the Golf Course Commission for a term extending to the first Monday of December 2023 be and the same is hereby approved.
Okay. I don't believe Mr. Evans is with us tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Where is it? I don't see.
Was there a second on that, Kevin?
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
please, a second.
I'll second that, Kevin.
Thank you, Ashley.
Gadiano.
Okay, I was muted apparently.
Oh, sorry, I just didn't see your name here in the list. My apologies. So, Mr. Evans, would you please state your address and your party affiliation, please?
93 Skyview Drive, Trumbull, Connecticut. My affiliation is Republican.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee, Mr. Evans?
Mr. Shively, I'll ask the same question we always ask. Why are you interested in serving?
I've been very active at Tashua ever since it started in 1976. And I not only have done a lot at Tashua, but I also have attended probably 95% of the Golf Commission meetings. And I've served on other golf events around the state where I bring that knowledge back to Tashua. So I've been on the commission previously, and I know what it does. And I would like to go back on it again, see what I can do to help out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like somebody I can call on to help me with my short game.
Be happy-
Ms. Rosasco Schwartz, I'm sorry. Ms. Rosasco Schwartz, I think I saw your hand. Is it?
I was going to ask the same question that Ashley
Okay.
did, so thank you.
Right, okay. Any other questions from the committee? Hearing none, are there any objections to approving this by unanimous consent?
No.
Hearing none, okay. It is hereby approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for serving again. We appreciate your experience and your interest. Ms. Isaac, would you please bring resolution TC 28-144 to the floor, please?
Resolution TC 28-144, be it resolved that, that the submission of the grant application to the Connecticut Deep AIS program is hereby acknowledged in an amount not to exceed $20,000 and identifies Vicky A. Tesoro, First Selectman, as the individual authorized to sign the application, assistance agreement, and all subsequent amendments, reports, and related documents in order to administer and implement the project. Full resolution attached.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mike Miller.
Thank you. And do we have someone here to speak to this resolution?
Yes, this is Rena Bakalar, Director of Economic and Community Development. This grant application is due February 12th. It requires a certified resolution with the grant application package. So if this were to be approved through the council, we would need to do it on emergency legislation because we have to file on it by the 12th. It's a grant that will, that George Estrada and Mary Ellen LeMay are sort of teaming up to work on for Dogwood Lake. That lake is contaminated, if you will, with invasive species that are destroying the natural habitat there. It's a very unusual type of invasive species that are there. They do believe that the origin of the invasive species is probably from a fish tank that was dumped into the lake or somewhere upstream. And it has created this type of problem. So this grant program through DEEP is specifically designed to apply for funding to mitigate these kinds of conditions. There would be a chemical application that is a DEEP approved chemical application. The application would be done by a licensed professional in the field. There would then be maintenance to make sure that the species don't come back. There would be also an educational component for the residents in the area, making them aware of, you know, the project and what efforts are being taken. Also, how to prevent something like this from happening in the future. We're also going to put some educational signage similar to the fabricated signs that we're using in other locations, like in Long Hill Green and like the Old Mine Kiosk, just a small version of that, but a very sturdy sign that will last time. There's also plans for a riparian, am I saying that right? Riparian buffer to be planted that will enhance the natural habitat there. So that is, generally speaking, the project. I don't know if Mary Ellen was able to get on because she's really the science person and the technical. I don't know if she was able to get on. But if you have any questions, I can let you know. There is a grant match requirement of 25% of the project costs. When the capital plan process was going through, George Estrada did discuss this with that process, and he did put some money aside for this to be considered for the match. I mean, I think he has more aside than what we'll need. It looks like, and the budget is not finalized yet. That's why it says in an amount not to exceed 20,000. It looks like there's about somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 worth of total cost associated with this. And then it would be the 25% of the total project cost, just to clarify.
Thank you. And if I remember correctly, this was one of the things that was identified as a part of the natural resources inventory. Is that correct? Didn't we identify that as a part of that process?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I
believe I remember him talking about it. I remember them talking about the dumping of the aquarium water into the lake, and that So another reason why it was a great thing that we were able to get that accomplished, obviously, so that we can deal with these issues before they're out of hand.
I just want to mention, I didn't see my email, but Mary Ellen has a conflicting meeting, so she wasn't able to join us. But I do know that she also placed a call, talk about going above and beyond, but to Stratford, because this lake, as the water leaves it, it travels sort of under Route 8 down towards Stratford, toward Roosevelt Forest in Stratford. So she just and obviously whatever's here can end up there. So she gave them a call just to see if they wanted to research it and perhaps do their own grant there. So I thought that was very good of her, and I just thought I'd mention that.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that information. Any other questions from the committee? Ms. Baclar, Mr. Miller?
Through the chair, Ms. Baclar, I think this is probably a better question for Mr. Paris, as I think he was the one that raised most of this during the 5-year capital plan. But was there another body of water that this invasive species was also affecting? because do we think that there would be an opportunity to apply for this grant again if that were the case?
So it is an annual grant as long as they continue to keep the program going, and it's been around many years, so I don't see it going anywhere. But there is a small pond that's privately owned that they suspect may have some of this. But what we thought we'd do is reach out to those owners and have a conversation, and they can decide if they want to deal with their own pond, because it's not a municipal property, and that gets a little sticky when we start to, so yes, there is another pond.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Kevin, this is Tony. I have a question. if it's
Sure,
okay.
please, Mr. Senta.
What's the invasive species?
I have it in the resolution. I have to pull it up to read it because I can't. I don't know if you have the package in front of you. Let me just pull it up. It's Phragmites is the grass species, and then there's two other species that are in the water. The grass species that's invasive is on the edging, and then the two others are, let me just see if I can get my thing to open.
Yeah, Rena, it's parrot feather and Brazilian waterweed.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
Well, I have another question, if you don't mind, Rena.
Please.
I don't mind.
This is a private pond or lake,
No.
whatever you want to call it. Dogwood's not?
No, Dogwood is a municipal pond. The private pond, Tony, is
Is Brushwood Lake?
no, I don't, there's a pond nearby this. I don't know the name of it, but it's a private pond that Dimitri and Mary Ellen think might have a problem. It's somebody owns that pond, the town doesn't, so we're not touching that, but we are gonna reach out to them and try to educate and tell them what we're doing in case they want to do that. This particular pond, Dogwood Lake, is a Trumbull property. The
Okay.
municipality owns it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions of Ms. Bacalar? Hearing none. Is there any objection to approving this by unanimous consent? Okay, hearing none, then it is approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that information. Mr. Sento, would you bring resolution RC 28-146 to the floor, please?
Sure. Give me one sec. Hold on, Kevin, I gotta go backwards.
Sure, no problem.
All right, let's see. Resolution RC, isn't it supposed to be, no?
I think it's just revised. It's a revised thing, right?
No, it's
Isn't it?
actually, it is a typo.
It is a typo. So
it
that's
is a
twice
typo.
then. Yeah. Okay.
Twice.
So I'm
Supposed to be-
sorry.
Supposed to be TC? All right,
TC, yeah.
that's what I thought. Okay. I thought I was seeing things. All right. Resolution TC or RC 28-146 be resolved that resolution TC 28-145, the 5-year plan adopted by the town council on January 7th, 2021 is hereby amended to include certain BOE updates.
And do I hear a second?
Mike Miller, second.
Okay, so the details of this were included in our packet as far as what these it's updates, but it's I think can also be called some corrections here. Do we have someone here? I know that we have a couple of members from the Board of Education, but although they may be here for the next meeting. I see Scott here as well. Scott Kerr. Scott, I think, are you muted? I'm not hearing you. Don't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry about that. New camera. Mr. Hendrickson is here as well, but either one of us can probably field any questions on this that you might have. Essentially, what happened is some revisions were made to our capital plan while it was in discussion on the town side, mainly because it was influenced by input from the Public Works Department in terms of adjusting some estimates for some paving projects, adding a paving project. And then during your meeting, it was recommended that we postpone one of the roofs, which we did.
That's the Jane Ryan roof you're talking about.
Right. So we moved the Jane Ryan roof out 1 year, and then we updated the costs of the other roofs to reflect updated pricing from our consultant.
And that includes the decrease in the Booth Hill roofing costs?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Through the chair, I had a few questions if now
Sure.
is the appropriate time.
Please, Ms. Gaudiano.
So does that leave 2 roofing projects for this year? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I apologize if we discussed this before, but what's the addition of the Booth Hill drainage and design? What is that for?
I believe that was something the town added, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah. Yeah. That was something that was added by the Public Works Department.
Okay.
To be done at Booth Hill.
Okay. I can check with Mr. Estrada about that. Those were, at this point, Kevin, my only 2 questions. I may have some more in a minute, but that's fine for now.
I don't believe we have anybody from Public Works here tonight.
That's
right?
okay. I'll reach out to him and then I'll circle back at the full council with the answer if it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Hendrickson or Mr. Kerr?
Kevin, it's Tony. I have a question.
Please,
Either one of
go
them is
ahead.
okay.
Mr.
Did we ever find out why Jane Ryan needs a new roof after 10 years?
Not specifically. I think that no, I think the simple answer is I don't have a good answer for that. But we pushed it out 1 year, and I think we'll certainly discuss it again.
Yeah, that was my understanding too, Mr. Santos, that I believe, didn't we talk about at our last meeting that that was part of the reason for pushing it out, was to have time to reevaluate whether there were warranties that could be that could come into play, or whether or not it was something that needed to be reassessed, whether it was something that and since it wasn't going to be on this year's, that we would have that time to reevaluate that. Does that ring a bell for you, Mr. Santo?
I believe so, but I thought someone said someone was coming to look at it since last time we spoke, but I could have misunderstood what they said at the time.
Are you aware, Mr. Kerr, of anybody that has looked at it?
Yeah, it was part of the review that our consultant looked at all 3 roofs. And he, not even knowing the date of it, he had estimated that it was 10 to 15 years out. So it was, that estimate was just a little bit over what it actually is. So we'll firm up what needs to be done to that and why when we bring it forward next year.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the committee? Hearing none, do I hear any objections to approving this through unanimous consent?
No.
Okay, then so be it. It is approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And I believe that concludes all the resolutions we have before us this evening. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Rosasco Schwartz.
So moved by Ms. Rosasco Schwartz and seconded by whom?
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, okay. Thank you very much. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.